with how we perceive the district, how we message, how we communicate, from these images that make up our community, from the downtown square to industry, partnerships with businesses, the activities that we have for our students both on the field and on the stage, but then also partnerships with groups like William Jewell College, along with other businesses. And then lastly, everything that makes up our Kansas City metropolitan area and the resources that we have. We feel incredibly blessed to live, to work, and to learn together in Liberty Public Schools. Additionally, you see some information as far as our district at a glance. Some of this is a bit dated as we progress over the course of this year. As we enter into the fall of the 23-24 school year, we will update this information to provide you new enrollment information, staffing levels, demographic data, finance data, as well as real-world learning experiences. As we continue to grow that and expand that, we want to continue to provide that information to you as families, as business partners, but certainly as students, to connect you with those areas that our students might be interested in pursuing while they're in school, but then also to serve as a bridge beyond high school as they enter into the world of work, into 2-year, 4-year colleges, or into the armed services. It's my hope that you're familiar with these two pieces as well, and that is our graduate profile, which you see behind me, but that you also see on the screen, that encompasses the 5 areas of academic, cultural, personal, professional, and entrepreneurial. Within each, there's a definition followed by the skills and dispositions that you as a community have identified. Our families and our business partners, through our strategic planning process, provided us the data and the input that said these are the skills and dispositions that we believe are important for our learners to possess while they're in school, but then also to carry forward with them beyond that K-12 experience. The second piece is our vivid vision. As we heard from our community and those things that are important in making up our strategic plan, we wanted to take those strategic plan areas of focus and develop a story or a narrative that we call our vivid vision. So I encourage you to take a look at both of these pieces that are available on our district's website. Additionally, from your input, we developed our strategic plan. And this is a glimpse of kind of a skeleton or strategy map of what's contained within our strategic plan under the areas of learning, teaching, leadership, professional learning, and community. It's hard to believe that nearly 4 years ago we started this process, and lo and behold, here we are, having navigated quite a bit over these 4 years. But then also looking ahead as we think about the coming school year and beyond, what might it look like for us to reset, resolicit your feedback and input based on the things that we've accomplished, what we've experienced, but then also what we see ahead of us in kind of re-envisioning our strategic plan, adding to our graduate profile, and then a refresh to our vivid vision. So you can anticipate that as we enter into the coming school year, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Within our strategic plan and the strategy map then, you have roughly 20 plans that then provide the guide work for our district leaders and our buildings and departments in effectuating our strategic plan, our graduate profile, and our vivid vision. So later this summer, we'll meet with our Board of Education at our Board of Education retreat and be able to share the highlights of those things that we've accomplished, those things that will carry forward in the coming school year, but then also those things that we might call strategic abandonment that we thought at one point were areas of focus and priority, but then circumstances may have changed or other things might have surfaced that then cause us to leave some of those pieces by the wayside. So we'll share more of that information as we roll into the coming school year. We've also spent a tremendous amount of time this year with our Board of Education, with our community through a variety of community engagement opportunities in and around our focus on facilities master planning. While we do our strategic planning on one hand, we also have our facilities master planning efforts that take place concurrently. And you may recall back in December, our Board of Education adopted a plan to bring forward to our community for their consideration. And we want to begin by really thanking our community for a couple of items that were presented on the April 4th ballot not too long ago and approved overwhelmingly by our community. The first of which was a $120 million no tax increase bond issue. The second was a no tax increase levy transfer issue. So again, we want to thank all of the work that our Board of Education has done to get us to this point, along with our district administration, our school leaders, but then also you, our community, in providing your feedback and input along the way. It's one thing to get to election day and to get past that, in which really a lot of the work begins. And so on our district's webpage, you may have seen a lot of the projects that are listed with additional information. You can click on each of these tiles on our webpage to be able to access additional information regarding each of those projects, to give you a visual of what that entails over these coming years as we look ahead. You have listed all the buildings and departments that will end up with significant projects over the course of the next 4 to 5 years as we take the $120 million no tax increase bond issue and put it to work. Additionally, with those projects, the community approved a debt service levy transfer of 50 cents that then takes a portion of our tax rate and moves it from our debt service fund over to our operating fund, with the priority established by our Board of Education to really focus on high quality staffing, particularly recruitment and retention. Just as with every industry, school districts face workforce challenges and shortages, and so we appreciate our community rallying behind our teachers and our staff in an effort to approve that debt service levy transfer. Again, we thank you, but we know a lot of the work is ahead of us as we think about the next several years and really putting pen to paper as it relates to plans and projects and contracting with various providers, services, to be able to have these projects move forward. Another area of focus, as we've shared in the past, is in this area of real-world learning. And as you may know, real-world learning is defined as that idea of preparing a student for the world of work by giving them real job experience or exposure and learning opportunities while they're in school around essential skills to be able to connect them to whatever their path may be moving forward. This ties directly to our graduate profile and those skills and dispositions that we've identified. But then it comes in a variety of forms. As a region, we refer to these as market value assets in conversations with our business community, and thinking that is something that a student carries with them as an asset that then can inform a resume, sit on a LinkedIn profile, or come up in conversation with a college recruiter, an Army recruiter, prospective employer, as it relates to how a student is able to convey or communicate the experiences that they've had while they've been in high school, particularly around work experiences that might include a part-time job or an internship experience, industry recognized credentials that they receive while they are in school that then translates into employability skills moving forward, college credit, whether it's AP courses, dual credit attainment, or early college experiences, and then lastly, entrepreneurial experiences. Our goal being, across the region, as you look at our Kansas City area, that not only in Liberty Public Schools, but across our area, the aim of 100,000 plus high school students receiving a market value asset. So we're leading this work along with other districts, along with various foundations across the region, to be able to ensure that every student has a connection to the world of work, but then also a bridge toward what's beyond high school. It not only sits at the high school level, but we see this work beginning as early as pre-K and elementary, through exploration of awareness around career opportunities, through some activities, adding to that at the middle level, engagement more deeply as it relates to practical experiences, interfacing with prospective employers, career fairs, and so forth. And then lastly, by the time a student reaches high school, immersion into authentic environments with professionals around areas that they are interested in pursuing. The goal by 2030, again, that all high school students across the region graduate with a market value asset. Many students will also have multiple market value assets as they take courses that are tied to dual credit, but then also have an internship experience or perhaps a part-time job or entrepreneurial in terms of a small business that they may run. It connects our students and our employers with our classroom, our teachers, and faculty. And so that's why we do this work, to take our content and the academic side of the house and what we do in school and connect it by deeper engagement through these market value assets. A lot of the images that are on our screen in these next few slides are examples of where real-world learning shows up, whether it's in our career centers, the Northland Career Center and Excelsior Springs Career Center, whether it is through the Northland CAPS program. As many of you are familiar with, we have close to 400 students across 10 school districts that participate in the internship experiences through Northland CAPS for our juniors and seniors. In total, Liberty each year has about 100 students that participate in this particular program. Additionally, KC Tech Academy, in partnership with local businesses, in working with other districts to provide both public, private, and homeschool students an opportunity to access this particular field and this industry that they're interested in pursuing. We don't want to miss our special ed population, and that as we think about real-world learning experiences, we truly want all students to have a connection to what lies beyond high school. And so we appreciate some of our business partners like Magna International in partnering to create maximizing opportunities for successful transition, or our MOST project. So we appreciate their partnership and vision in and around this area. Within our schools, Epic Elementary, as it relates to real-world learning at the elementary level, along with the work happening at Warren Hills. And then we get into programs at the secondary level like HMS by Design, some of our other middle schools exploring what those types of opportunities might look like, whether it's South Valley or at Discovery or at Liberty Middle School. At Liberty Academy, a reverse internship model that we commonly refer to as the Unschool Challenge. At the high school level, Edge Micro School at Liberty High School, North Nation by Design at Liberty North High School, and then beyond that, working with higher education through our college acceleration program with Metropolitan Community College, more recently partnering with William Jewell College to create the CNA program, in which students, roughly 20 next fall, will begin their inaugural year with that program in partnership with William Jewell, but then also with Liberty Hospital toward attaining a CNA degree upon completion of high school. So we're really excited about that, and we'll share more information with you in future Coffee with the Community events next year. We've also spent a tremendous amount of time working through Network 53 as an additional layer of internship opportunities. I appreciate our two career navigators, Dustin Solers and Tim Anderson, at Liberty North High School and at Liberty High School, whose job is pretty fun. It is to connect students with internships that they are interested in pursuing. And so we use the example quite often that a student comes to us saying, hey, I want an internship with a beekeeper. Our task is to then go find a beekeeper. And so it's really that simple in terms of connecting students to areas that they're interested in pursuing. We started that several years ago with a handful of students interested in internships, and we've grown that to several hundred now as we think about the 23-24 school year ahead of us. While we try to do things innovatively and we try to do things differently on behalf of our students in Liberty Public Schools, we also want to ensure that we remain accountable and that we remain and keep our eyes set on rigorous expectations. That leads us to metrics and how we think about metrics a little bit differently. As you may recall, growing up in school, this time of year is end-of-year testing. As far as state testings in Missouri, it's the MAP test for our younger kiddos, grades 3 through 8. By the time you get to high school, you're participating in end-of-course exams. Some might be doing that today, actually. And then you get into, college placement tests like the ACT, the SAT, and other assessments. We know that there is a lot more beyond that. And so several years ago, working with the Board of Education, we landed on this notion of leveraging and identifying or spotlighting what we call uncommon measures. And so as we work to spotlight that, we really focus on 3 key areas. The first of which is academics. And as you can see on our uncommon measures scorecard, we still want to do well on our end-of-course exams, our MAP tests, and ensure that we're supporting our kids to be successful in the ACT or the SAT. But we also conduct what's referred to as through-year assessments, leveraging iReady that assesses a student early in the fall, again mid-year, later in the spring, that frankly is more meaningful to our teachers and our students and families as they're able to assess in real time, receive feedback instantly, but then being able to adjust instruction or from a student perspective, adjust their learning goals or have a better understanding of how they're on track toward reaching standards or toward reaching particular goals. And so through-year assessment is something that we want to message more regularly with our families, with our students, with our staff, to ensure that they have a constant glimpse of where they're at in their learning journey as compared to an end-of-year test, of which we don't receive the scores for some time later, if not into the next year, at which point students move on in their courses. They also move on in their grade level. It's great data to have, it's informative, but at the same time, it's not as meaningful as through-year assessments in terms of being able to adjust, modify, and ensure that we're meeting every single student's needs and where they are at. In addition to the academic aspects of our uncommon measures, we also place high value on social emotional learning or well-being. This was indicative of our experience during the pandemic as we were concerned about our students and staff and what they were experiencing beyond the academic side of life, but then also into the well-being and mental health side. Our ability to be able to conduct a variety of surveys over the course of the year, disaggregate that down to the building level by demographic as it relates to individual students, to be able to say, yes, we're doing well in these areas, but then conversely, here are some areas of continuous improvement that have surfaced that we need to ensure that we have strategies around. Take that to another level. We are incredibly blessed in Clay County to be supported by the Children's Services Fund. You may recall our community across Clay County approved this on a ballot several years ago, and it's a taxing jurisdiction that then generates revenues that is funneled through the Children's Services Board and then distributed to students and schools across Clay County. We are one of just about 7 counties in the state of Missouri that have access to the Children's Services Fund to be able to provide both direct and indirect mental health services to our students. You can see it encompasses things like school-based therapy, in-home therapy, case management, resiliency lessons, behavioral support, mental health screening, psychiatric services. The list is pretty long. And I want to thank specifically Dr. Jessica Meisenheimer and our Innovation and Learning Department for really spearheading this, along with our counselors and our social workers and our health services team at each of our building levels to ensure that we're able to provide these supports for all students pre-K through grades 12 across all of our 19 campuses. That is done in partnership with several of the groups that you see listed here, whether it's through conscious discipline in support of some of our practices at the building level, or mental health providers like Synergy or Sonia Richardson Thomas, Summit, other groups, Tri-County Mental Health. But we're incredibly blessed and fortunate to be able to have these supports, which again, we owe a tremendous amount of thanks to our community in supporting the Children's Services Fund over these last several years. The last category then picks up where we left off with real-world learning, and that is how are we doing toward meeting our aim of 100% of our students obtaining a market value asset. We still have a ways to go, but we're glad to report that we're in about the 70% range of our students having at least one market value asset. Some areas that we have a tremendous amount of strength in is in our internship and college credit opportunities, but then we also look to be able to increase our client-connected projects as well as entrepreneurial experiences. And so we'll be working over the course of this year to then continue to move those metrics forward. It brings up a lot of areas as a result of our uncommon measures and real-world learning that kind of leads us into other changes or initiatives, innovations to be able to consider. Whether it's choice schools within our own district, as is testament by our micro schools at the middle level, the high school level, some of our unique programs that we have going on at the elementary level as well, along with some external programs in partnership with business and higher education. By design teams, flexible scheduling, a tiered diploma process in which our Board of Education approved integrating a real-world learning experience or market value asset as a graduation requirement along with our ICAPs. And then other areas that we're exploring is the creation of an extended transcript. So you think of your traditional transcript, but then you think about a companion piece that really conveys how you as a student are reaching those skills and dispositions and examples of your work in developing a portfolio toward those aims. Culminating in capstone presentations or showcases, micro-credentials, what that might look like, as well as badging for our students to be able to obtain a badge through a Network 53 experience, perhaps like an internship as you see on the screen. And so these are areas that we're thinking through or progressing toward as it relates to our systems and processes here in Liberty Public Schools. Another area that we are engaging in is our Success Ready Students Network, and you may have heard a little bit about this over the course of tuning into our board meetings or in other presentations that we've shared across the community. It really began with the call from the State Board of Education just last winter of 2021, in which the State Board of Education called for the creation of the Success Ready Students Study Group, in which that spring of 2022, a variety of stakeholders were pulled together to explore personalized learning, competency-based learning, for the purpose of bringing recommendations to the State Board of Education and how the state might be able to move in that direction. The state's been working on this, though, for years prior to that, going all the way back to 2012. You can see kind of a layout of all of the work that's happened over the last 10 years that gets us to where we are today. Around the same time, the state has transitioned from MSIP 5 to MSIP 6, which is our accreditation process. In addition to state accreditation, we also conduct a national accreditation, which is COGNIA, which we've shared with you in the past. But what we face with the State Board of Education is an opportunity in which they have asked for recommendations on how we might move the state forward toward personalized learning, competency-based learning, and thinking about accreditation and accountability differently. So over the course of last summer, the Success Ready Students Network was created with the idea of creating a variety of innovation zones around the state of Missouri. The first is the system design zone for those districts that might be interested or already doing some of this work at scale at the district level. The second innovation zone is an innovative learning design zone where the work may not be happening at the district level, but there are pockets across schools or classrooms. And then lastly, kind of a support agency zone where you have various associations, higher education, and other education partners to support this work in this third innovation zone. It was last fall that Liberty Public Schools Board of Education approved our participation in the Success Ready Students Network, specifically in that system design zone. And you can see a list of other districts that are participating. All total, there are about 50 districts that make up innovation zones in that system design zone as well as that innovative learning design zone. So why are we doing this? Beyond the ask by the State Board of Education to think differently about instruction, about learning, about accreditation and assessment, while at the same time they were transitioning from MSIP 5 to MSIP 6. The reason why we do it is because the current state assessment process is not sufficient. It is one piece, but we know there are better ways of doing things. The first concern is that it's not as meaningful for students because, again, it doesn't provide timely information for students, parents, or teachers to be able to react to and adjust learning or adjust instruction. Secondly, we know it's not actionable for teachers. And then lastly, it's not personalized for each child as we think about their pre-K through grade 12 journey. So then the goal of the Success Ready Students Network is really to answer some of those concerns. We want it to be meaningful for students, actionable for teachers, personalized for each child, but then also meaningful for our parents and our families. And so over the course of this year, through the System Design Zone and working closely with the Success Ready Students Network, it's been a goal to be able to engage our community in a variety of levels at the district level, whether it's committees that we have in place. This evening we're meeting with our Vision 2020 committee. We've worked with our professional development committee, our curriculum councils, along with our principals, district leadership team, Board of Education presentations to share much of this information, along with parent engagement through our PTA council. Additionally, consideration at the board level regarding a resolution as to whether or not to participate in an innovation waiver that would allow us to function in a lane or in an area outside of MSIP, our traditional accreditation process and our annual performance report, while at the same time focusing on high expectations, rigor, relevance toward a new accreditation and assessment process. Additionally, helping design a new state assessment structure. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in the coming years will be reshaping its assessment structure, so how can we inform that through the innovation zones, but then also creating a more meaningful accountability system that supports every single learner, but then also focuses on continuous improvement or school improvement. We see a lot of alignment in this work, whether it's through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, initiatives at the governor's office, through bipartisan legislative support, along with other states that are already doing this work, some that are further ahead of Missouri, others that are a bit further behind. All of this is aimed toward developing a personalized competency-based learning mindset, and you can see the definition as far as the 8 areas that are encompassed in this definition. Students are empowered daily, assessment is meaningful, students receive timely, differentiated support. We work for progress toward mastery from that standpoint, ensuring that learning activities use different pathways, various pacing, because we know it's not a one-size-fits-all. Strategies to ensure equity for all students are embedded, rigorous and common expectations. And then lastly, that you might recognize this was a contribution from the Kansas City region, that students are engaged in real-world learning experiences. So our aim is to take a lot of the work that we're doing in Liberty Public Schools and across the Kansas City area, and that we feel that if it's good enough for our students here in Liberty Public Schools, then it's a meaningful effort as we think about state assessment, state accountability, and state accreditation processes. The network has taken it to this extent of developing a theory of action for assessment. You can take a look at this as it relates to all of its components. A companion piece to this theory of action for assessment then is a second focus on theory of action for accountability. And to hone in on one piece, as you can see, the most important factor is the student and ensuring that our practices are meaningful for our students. And then beyond that, drilling down to the school level, the district level, the state level, and then also those federal accountability pieces as it relates to ensuring that we're accountable at all levels, but most importantly, at that student or that learner level. Continuing the work that we see that is meaningful in our state from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, tied to various standards and processes focused on continuous improvement. So carrying some of those pieces forward, as you can see reflected from these processes to continue to support learning, but then developing a new accountability structure as it relates to the indicators as you see on the side. High school readiness, mastery towards standards, incorporating another reliable academic indicator, focusing on college, career, workforce readiness, incorporating end-of-course exams, the market value asset pieces, along with graduation rate, English language learner proficiency. But as you can see on the far right, ensuring that we have the correct audiences for reporting, leading with the student, followed by the parent and the teacher, the school, and the district on the left-hand side. And then for accountability purposes, what does accountability look like at that school level, the district level, the state level, and then as we conveyed earlier, at that federal level as well. So a look ahead as it relates to the rest of this school year, but then into the summer, into next year for the Success Ready Students Network. Districts considering, as part of that demonstration project or innovation waiver, submission of an innovation waiver to the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, likely the first part of June. So our Board of Education has initially reviewed the innovation waiver at our April board meeting. We're going to do that again at our May study session, and then at our May monthly board meeting, the board will entertain as to whether or not to participate in an innovation waiver or demonstration project as we start the 23-24 school year. Again, supported by the State Board of Education, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, as we envision or think about a new accountability, accreditation, and assessment process moving forward. The other companion piece to that is continuing to grow districts that are participating in this work through future cohorts and continuing to move the demonstration project forward around this effort for new state assessment and accountability structure as more districts join in the effort or join in the work. So we're really on the front end of this, trying to figure this out and learning as we go, but certainly want to solicit your feedback, engage you along the way. So please reach out if you have questions or comments regarding any of the work with the Success Ready Students Network. Additionally, you can visit their webpage, successreadystudentsnetwork.org, and you have a variety of information at your fingertips where they've tried to capture all of their meetings, all of their content, all of their information to be as transparent as possible in working closely with the State Board of Education and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. This takes us to another area of focus as we think about community engagement, everything that we have done over the years, how that has evolved for a variety of mediums, but then also what that looks like moving forward. And so in the state of Missouri, Board of Education policy guides our work in our school districts. And so last spring, Senate Bill 681 incorporated pieces tied to enhancing community engagement. So we're already in the process of revising some of our board policies as it relates to agendas, public participation at board meetings, whether it's through public comment or beyond, community engagement efforts, with the idea being that we want to adopt, as we think about this next school year, a community engagement plan specifically around these 4 areas in ways that we are informing our community, consulting in partnership with our community, involving our community, but then also collaborating with our community. Each is defined as it relates to our policies, but then each looks slightly different. So we're in the process of working with each of our schools and each of our departments in taking stock or an inventory of what we already do, from our website to our social media platforms to Coffee with the Communities, our variety of survey instruments that we have in place, both at the district level, but then also at the school and department level, to ensure that we have a robust community engagement plan. We'll be working with a variety of parent groups to be able to solicit feedback as well along this aim, with the idea of a plan containing these varying components. What is the purpose of our engagement activities? Describe the segments of the community that are participating. Describe how those activities are conducted. What are some of the obstacles and challenges that we can anticipate and problem solve around? But then also, how are we able to evaluate those engagement practices that we've put in place? And then lastly, how do we continue to plan, evaluate, and revise in an effort to be in a constant state of continuous improvement? Our goal is to continue this work as we wrap up the school year, have a plan in place by July 1st that then we begin to work and socialize and effectuate as we begin the 23-24 school year. So that's a lot contained within this Coffee with the Community, but as with each month, as we've conducted these Coffee with the Communities, it's archived on our district's webpage. We would encourage you to take a look back if there's something that you missed. If there's a topic you're interested in hearing about, we'd also solicit that feedback from you as we think about next year and looking ahead in how we schedule our Coffee with the Community series again to continue to engage with our families, our businesses, our students, and our employees here in Liberty Public Schools. The last thing I would like to say before we turn it over to some questions, if you have any questions, is if we don't connect with you between now and the end of the school year, we hope you have an incredible summer. It'll be busy around Liberty Public Schools as we welcome nearly 6,000 students for summer school, but at the same time continue with our facility master planning projects and our summer maintenance work, but then get ready for the return of our students in August for the 23-24 school year. Dallas, any questions on your end this morning?
You know, we have really no questions. We did have a couple of nice comments, though, that I thought I would just share with you. From Casey, she says, "Thank you, all of you, for what you do for not only just my children, but all the kids within the district. I cannot say enough about how appreciative I am to the district." So thanks, Casey, for that remark. And then we received a comment from the Liberty Kids First Facebook page. Just said a big thank you to the entire LPS community for passing the largest bond issue in the history of the district and passing it by an 80% approval rate, along with passing the levy transfer issue earlier this month. LPS is an amazing place, and I could not agree more.
Absolutely. Thank you for both of those comments and inserting that this morning. We are incredibly humbled by the support that we have from our community, and we don't take that for granted. One of the things that we talk about from our board table all the way down to our classroom is the importance of trust and being able to be responsive to your questions, your asks, your inquiries, your challenges or problems that we need to solve, all the way to partnering with us from our earliest learners at the pre-K level all the way through 12th grade. And that is what keeps us going in terms of ensuring that we're doing the best that we can to meet the needs of every single one of our learners and our employees, families within Liberty Public Schools, because this is truly an incredibly special community. Thank you to all that volunteer as well, that support, whether it's PTA or the Kids First initiative, in terms of getting out and spending your time above and beyond your regular job to be able to support all the work that we have going on in Liberty Public Schools. It certainly is a great place to live, to learn, and to work. Anything else, Dallas?
I think that is it. I think just a reminder, like we do each month, that if anyone is watching this in replay format, they are more than welcome to leave a comment. Of course, we have Let's Talk, the Let's Talk portal on our website that we we engage regularly on that platform and receive several questions every week from our community. So
Awesome. Thank you again to Dallas and our entire team that works behind the scenes in all of our communication efforts. Again, we hope you have a great wrap up to the 22-23 school year. We look forward to the year ahead. In between, though, we hope that each of you have a great summer. Take care.